Alright guys, welcome back to Our World Outdoors. So today, I want to continue with the theme of making easy items for you guys to dehydrate to take out in the backcountry as meals. Whether it's day hiking, backpacking, camping, we all want to be able to have those luxury foods from home without paying that now $10 price tag for off-the-shelf dehydrated meals. So we've come up with another simple one, and this one is about as easy as it gets. So, you can buy frozen meatballs just about any store now. We actually got these from the Dollar Tree, which, funny, Dollar Tree now charges $1.25 for almost everything. But, then again, this is $1.25. This one is the home style. This one is the Italian. Either one of them will work just fine for this recipe. Now, the other thing you will need is your favorite barbecue sauce. We personally like to have the lower calorie barbecue sauce in our home, so we use the sugar-free Ray's. Works well for us. Now, this is how simple this goes. You start out by opening up all of your meatballs. And mind you, for $1.25, that's a pretty good amount of meatballs. But you're going to want a lot of them all on the trail. So, I'm going to call this 2 portions. Now, obviously, knowing me, I'd probably have a pack of like potatoes, mashed potatoes, or maybe some rice with this, and then just throw all this on top once I rehydrate it. But that's me. Now, in order to get these to dehydrate faster, and the reason why we're using these, we're going to cut them in half, but when I cut it in half, I'll be able to show you better why we want to use these instead of making our own. Because, in case you guys don't know, frozen meatballs are not true meatballs. They're super processed. You see how I cut through the middle of that? Basically, these are broken down. Their proteins are so broken down, and then they add breadcrumbs and then make it back together to make a meatball. Alright? So these will not turn to gravel when we dehydrate them. So you've got your 2 halves, and we're going to go through and just do all these. But luckily, through the power of video editing, I'm going to speed it all up. Alright guys, so now as you can see, they're all cut in half. Just got a bowl full of them. Now, the next step is about as simple as it gets. Because in order to make barbecue meatballs, you need barbecue sauce. Now, how much you want to use is up to you. I use just under a half cup. Everybody's going to be different. You guys may want to use more. And then what I'm going to do is just gently turn it in there so that they all get covered. Now this is going to take a while because you don't want to break all of your meatballs. Some people may like them saucier. I honestly am just trying to get mine coated. Do not be afraid to use more if that's what you want, because what will happen is it will only take like an extra half an hour to dehydrate. I'm not trying to take the barbecue sauce flavor onto my sides, so if you wanted your potatoes to go barbecue or something, you could add more sauce in. I'm wanting to put these when they're done on top of my potatoes that are like 3 cheese potatoes or something. Alright, so there's your finished result. They're all basically covered. That's all we're wanting to do. Now there is already a lot of salt and a lot of sugars in these processed meatballs. So the fact that we're using a sugar-free barbecue sauce will not hurt anything. But as with all these, until you're actually ready to take these on the trail, make sure you store them in the freezer when they're done. Now, let's go ahead and move forward. And just because I'm like a total beast, I'm going to use my hands. So I've lined it with parchment paper, and what that does is makes it A, so I don't make a mess, but also makes them come off easier because the sauce would drip down through all the trays and make a giant mess. But all I'm going to do is just place these, trying not to have them touch on this sheet. And the beautiful part of this is you can make any serving size you want out of these. You can grab a handful if you're going out for a day hike and you just want something for a snack with one of them minute rices. Or you can take a giant bunch of these out and cook them alongside the campfire when you're camping with your friends and having some adult beverages. You could also take these, which is how it's probably going to work for us, and either put them in a pita or on a sub bun. So to put it in your mindset, you're sitting by a campfire with all your friends after doing high mile day, and you bust out a baggie and rehydrate a bunch of these barbecued meatballs. Put it on a bun, and you're sitting out in the middle of the woods eating a barbecue meatball sandwich around the fire. I promise you, you'll be the envy of all of your friends. And if you're a nice person, you'll share. Alright, so it's looking like I may end up being able to make it all in one tray, but it's going to be close. And if you haven't already, go down and subscribe so you don't miss any more of our upcoming dehydrating videos, because we are working on some stuff that will absolutely blow your mind. We are going out of the norm into other ethnic foods and things that you would never think about dehydrating. Now, as I put these last couple on, I do want to tell you that calories with these are going to be high. I don't care if you use sugar-free barbecue sauce, they're still going to be high. But that said, a lot of the things that are in these that we would normally call bad for us, like high levels of sodium, are well needed on the trail when you're out hiking in those hot summer days. Alright, so there you go. Now, I will put this in the dehydrator, and we will get back with you when they are done, and we will talk about how these can be rehydrated and served on various different methods. Don't miss that part, because these don't just have to be reheated hot. Alright, good morning guys. So we're back. The dehydrator has finished. It took 18.5 hours to dehydrate these things. So it's important to know that when you're dealing with meatballs like this, and because of their size, even though we cut them in half, it's going to take longer to dehydrate them and rehydrate them. So in case you guys didn't notice, someone showed up for the tasting. Imagine that. So we're going to make her bag it up. But first I want to show you what we did here. So when we were running the dehydrator, we originally, and I'm going to try not to spill these everywhere, we originally had parchment paper down. We let them go for about 8 hours, flipped them all over individually, and then about, I don't know, 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours later, we pulled the parchment paper out because they were pretty much dry on the outside, and just kind of spread them around. Now, they will always be dense and heavy and have a little bit of squeezability, but generally speaking, they are completely dehydrated. There is no water content really left inside these. There might be just a little bit on the very inside, but it's basically sealed from the outside all the way around. Now that said, we're going to go ahead and put these into a baggie here so that we can keep them in the freezer. Now, I do want to let you guys know that rehydrating these is going to take time. You're not going to go to camp like our normal recipes, throw it in a bag, throw some water in there that's hot, and be ready to eat 5 or 10 minutes later. That's not how these work. It takes time to get that water inside there. So my recommendation to you is twofold. Either one, when you get to camp, take your cup, start boiling your water, and drop these in and let them boil in. And then let them totally cool, covered up, or in a koozie, whatever. Or, when you're making your breakfast for the day, put whatever you want to rehydrate in a bag. And then in that bag, put your hot water when you're making it for your coffee or such. Once you do that, put it inside your koozie, put it in your backpack, and just let it soak the rest of the day. By the time you get to your destination at the end of the day, these should be completely rehydrated. And also, I wanted to show you on our rehydration, do not try to classify the water exactly. It's better to have too much than not enough, because these are going to soak up a lot of water when given the correct amount of time. a lot of water. And it's just as simple to do this. You put your spoon out at camp on it and just pour out your excess water. Now, as you can see, they actually do swell away from the dehydrated size they become. They swell up and become more of an actual swollen meatball. Now, for us, our plans for these are a little different. We would take buns out with us. And just those $2.25 bags, remember, from Dollar Tree? Look at how much those made. That's a pretty good bit, guys. So we would take a packet of ketchup out with us and put it on a bun. And yes, I would pack out buns for these because I like meatball subs. So we're going to take our barbecued meatball subs and just basically lay them out on the bun. Just like that. Stop eyeballing my meatball sub.
Just thinking, that looks really good.
So that's what you're going to end up with. I know it's kind of trying to fall on us. But that's the final product. So we would then, of course...
Let the wife taste test it?
Well, I suppose I could be a nice guy and let her. Now, before I even bite this, I can tell you for a fact after dehydrating meat that's thicker, it's going to have a harder texture than what you're normally used to. It's not going to be like fall apart off the bone because you dehydrated it, rehydrated it. It won't be bad, it won't be gravel, but it'll have a chewier consistency. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is. And the ketchup definitely does it.
Pretty good.
Long day of hiking, having a meatball sub around the fire, I guarantee you, you'll be the envy of it. But then you have to share with your wife. Nobody likes that. But this is kind of for the person that wants to go the extra mile. Because I'm going to tell you now, this is not for the I want it done in 5 minutes crowd. Alright, this is more for I'm planning out my meals for my trip and I want to heat up some water in the morning with my breakfast, throw it in a baggie with these, put it in my pack, and have them rehydrated when I get to camp. That's what this kind is. So it's important to realize that. Now, with that said, you could cut these into quarters instead of halves and probably have better results. But now we're getting away from actually having a meatball and they're just like little chunks of meat.
Right.
So, just another option for when you're out on the trail. Stop eyeballing my sandwich. I saw you looking.
I was looking at them.
Sure you were.
I wasn't looking. Boy, he's awful protective over that sandwich.
Yeah. Go make me a sandwich. But this was actually a really fun time for us because we got to see how simple it is to go buy something that's super cost effective. Convert it over to something that will take our trips to another level as far as eating out on the trail. Nobody likes to have the same old thing out on the trail, at least we don't. Mm-hmm. I like variety and flavor, especially when it comes to taste. The barbecue still has a taste in there. If you guys wanted more of a taste in there, I would tell you to put way more barbecue sauce than I did on mine. I actually think next time I might try and double my barbecue sauce on these.
Or even take barbecue sauce packets out with you.
Yep. There's definitely that option too. Because you can take out whatever kind of packet you want. Because as I'm sitting here and you say that, we got to get some dill pickle relish for these. That'd be the best. But I'm going to eat this and I'm not going to give my wife any. So if you haven't already, don't look pitiful at me. If you haven't already, and I don't know why you wouldn't have by now. Look at what we're eating here. Take it out on the trail with you. So go down, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Make sure you like the video. Comment, let us know if you tried this or anything like it. What's your favorite dehydrated meal for out on the trail? And with that said, honey with a mouthful.
We will see you up the trail.
Now give me my, come back here with my sandwich.